We love to hear about the picks at the NFL Draft. We also love to hear about the trades. How many will there be this year? We're about to find out. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. Tom Vandervoort alongside Vinnie Iyer, NFL writer. So we know everyone wants to trade down in this draft, right? I mean, it's not a top-heavy draft. A lot of equal talent in this draft. So presumably if you have one of those top picks, you want to maybe trade down and get multiple picks. The real question is, who wants to trade up and take these top picks? Who are some of the teams you think?
I think we always forget about that part of the scenario, the aggressive teams that go up and get special players. We kind of saw that a couple years ago with the Atlanta Falcons when they moved up to get Julio Jones. Worked out pretty well for them.
It did.
He's a pretty awesome player. So if you really like a guy and you think he can be a difference maker, I think you have to move up and you have to have the ammunition and picks.
Well, let's talk about some of the teams that have the ammunition. The first team that comes to mind, San Francisco 49ers, made the Super Bowl last year, 14 picks in this draft. That's a lot of ammunition. They have 2 in the second, 2 in the third, 4 in the seventh. They still have their first-round pick. Is this a team that could package that first with some of their other picks and move up into, say, the top 10?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you could look at a couple players. They could have Star Lotulelei from Utah. I think he would be good on their 3-4 defensive line if they like him and they see him slipping. Another special player, like Tavon Austin. Like, I think somebody's going to jump up and get him, the wide receiver from West Virginia. He's an exciting, speedy player, but he may be more of a luxury pick for a good team like the 49ers. And with what Seattle's been doing this offseason, the 49ers need to be a little bit more aggressive.
Well, that's a team that really seems to have not just ammunition, but also has already brought in a number of players. Antoine Winfield, Michael Bennett from Tampa. Percy Harvin from Minnesota. So they've got a bunch of guys. They still have 9 picks. So is this a team maybe that moves back into the first round here?
I think they look at that for sure because you saw them when they moved the trade to Minnesota. They lost a first round there. So I think they'll look for a special player maybe that could put them over the top. I think they've loaded up pretty well on pass rushers so far, but they could keep up that theme. You can never have enough at that position. So another thing I would look up at is a special player to put around Russell Wilson. You already have Percy Harvin, but you need more weapons. So maybe a player to watch for is Tyler Eifert, the tight end from Notre Dame. They got Zach Miller in the mix, but I think Eifert would raise that position quite a bit for Seattle and make them more dangerous on offense.
Okay, very good. And finally, another team occurs to me, the Miami Dolphins, 11 picks. They took a big step forward last year. Is it kind of make or break time for them to crash through and become a playoff team here?
Well, I think the theme here is Austin again. Like if they find him to be a special guy, and I think he is. He's a difference maker. They added quite a bit of speed in Mike Wallace. They already had Brian Hartline and another track star. You get him into the mix with Ryan Tannehill, you feel a lot better. But another player to watch out for is Lane Johnson. Because as soon as Eric Fisher and Luke Jokel are off the board, in some order, 1-2, everyone was going to go after Lane Johnson. He's an incredible athlete. They just lost Jake Long, went to the St. Louis Rams, so they want a replacement out there. So they're kind of coy about being over-interested in him, but they are, and that's a guy they would definitely move up for.
So let's just talk a little bit about how these trades happen and where you think they might happen. Is it the case that you're targeting a guy, you've got some assets, and you have to wait and make sure that guy is available, and then you execute the trade? So you kind of set it up ahead of time with these teams, and then you execute it when it's clear that, a Lane Johnson or whoever's going to be available.
I think the interesting thing here is in that 7-8 range, the Bills-Cardinals, because they want to add some kind of quarterback option here, but if they're smart about it, they want to add one later and not that pick, that 7-8 pick. If Geno Smith is gone there, I think they'll try to move down. So they wouldn't mind getting a late first rounder or an early second rounder where they still think they can get a Ryan Nassib or an E.J. Manuel that they can take a chance on. So when you look at that, that could be the spot where Lane Johnson is still on the board after the first few guys are gone. If you like a special pass rusher, Ezekiel Ansah might be the next guy. Lotulelei we mentioned. So there's a lot of guys that can slip out of that top 6, and then you sort of get antsy about let's jump in and get these guys while we have the chance ahead of these teams that they could go off the board at any moment.
All right, so we're saying like maybe 5 to 15, somewhere in there, teams that might need a quarterback.
I would think it's very active. Right after the Lions are done with their turn, you have the Browns. I think with Michael Lombardi as their new GM, they'll want to make some shrewd moves, get stockpile picks to help themselves. So I think anywhere from 6 down, I think it should be pretty wild in that first half of the first round.
All right, we'll see what happens. For Vinnie Iyer, Tom Vandervoort, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.